It's time for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblitz, the show that helps you be prepared to care for your family regardless of the circumstances that may come your way. Now, here's your host for today, Mark Lamb.
Okay, Glenn, so we stopped last week. You were talking about a bison well and some lights, and we'll get into some of that, this hour. But basically, we're talking about, what happens when we face those storms, whether they're literal storms from the sky or a political disruption in the system or whatever.
You name whatever the cause was, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. You got to deal with it. And one of the things is, 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of darkness. So we're talking about all the things that may happen during a storm, mm-hmm. or during chaos or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Lights, batteries, that kind of thing, kerosene lamps. We've talked about all these things, but do a quick checklist, mm-hmm. Emergency checklist. Do I have fresh batteries? Do I have kerosene for my kerosene lamp? And I'll say something about any kind of fuel you put in your house that's on fire. Mm-hmm. It's on fire.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Kids are stupid. Young adults are stupid.
Right.
Because they've never had to do this stuff. You understand? They've never had to sit, or fill a kerosene lantern. They just pushed a button on their phone and got a light, that kind of stuff. So go through your little checklist of emergency stuff and mm-hmm. make sure that it is serviceable.
Right.
If you need fresh batteries, go buy them. Batteries don't last forever. Right. The alkaline ones, they sit on the shelf for about 2 years, and then they're about done. Mm-hmm. They'll leak and ruin a whole box of batteries. So keep that in mind. Mm. So batteries, lanterns, candles. Again, candles are on fire too. Always have something under a candle.
Can I just state? I told you I bought these. I bought a box of candles. 72, and I went ahead and bought the little what do you call it? It starts with
votive
that holds it.
Right.
And I had burned 2 of these. No, actually 3. Just to test them because it said 4 to 6 hours.
Had a little romantic dinner, did you?
Honest to goodness, Glenn, I've got 8 to 9 hours out of these little candles.
Something in it.
So and I bought the little the glass holder. For that reason of a fire, just protect it. And then I set
it's a petroleum product. Wax is a petroleum product. And once it turns to liquid, you can spill it.
Yes.
And whatever it gets on will catch fire.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I always a plate, even a simple dinner plate under it, where if the darn thing leaked out the side, it rather than ruin your furniture or catch something on fire, you just put a plate under it. So. Teach your kids about using candles and stuff, and kids will learn if you teach them.
Right.
Some have to be taught through pain, but that's right. Another story.
True.
But you at least familiarize themselves with it.
Yeah.
So lights. There's nothing that dispels fear like a lighted room. In the dark, people tend to get a little antsy.
Right.
Kids get scared. I'm not going to say women get scared, but women get scared. Mm-hmm. It's an eerie feeling.
Right.
You may walk through the woods being a man, think you all cheesy, but if you had to walk a mile through the woods, no light, and just pick your way, you will hear a lot of sounds.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And suddenly, you're not the man you thought you was, because now you're running like a madman through the wood, slam into a tree, and get knocked out.
Right.
It happens, that fear intensifies, but flick a light on, and it dispels all that.
Yep.
So it's very important psychologically to have light, not to mention safety.
Yes.
So we talked about having water, food, of course. If you're in a long-term outage, more than 3 days, and you've got some things prepped up, you've probably been eating cold beans for a while. You got a way to cook anything? No sense in having a 50-pound bag of dried beans if you can't cook them.
Cook it, yeah.
There's a lot of ways to cook. We've talked about them before. Just the rocket stove. That is a very efficient way to be able to heat. You can use your grill as a wood stove if you run out of propane, which you probably will because you didn't buy 6 bottles of propane. You bought 1 or 2 because that's all you typically use. Well, nothing's typical about today. Buy a couple extra bottles. You'll eventually use them if nothing happens. If something does happen, you can look over at your wife and say, I told you so. Because if you don't, she's going to tell you. Ask me how I know. All right, so we talked about water and the generators and cooking all the way down to a fire pit and a stick. You can at least cook a steak on a stick. The lights, we talked about batteries. They're safe.
Yeah.
Lanterns, candles, that kind of thing, that's a fire issue. So what should you have if you got fire in your house? You should probably have really good fire extinguishers. And they better be serviced also. Dry chemicals tend to clog up the little nozzle.
Okay.
Because they're corrosive chemical inside of there. So if that thing's 10 years old, replace it because it may not work on the day you need it. Bad deal. The CO2, the halons, all that kind of stuff. Do your research on them, what you think you need, and know how to use them. You've probably never used a fire extinguisher in your whole life. The day you do it, you go, wow, I didn't know it would do that. Dry chemical ones are high pressure, and they shoot pulverized metal is what they shoot, and they coat the fuel. Well, if you have a kerosene fire, a puddle of melted wax that's now on fire because it fell onto your tablecloth. Now your tablecloth's on fire, and you shoot that high pressure, it's going to spray that fire and liquid all over your wall. Now your whole dang house is on fire.
Right.
So knowing how to use that, and you can go online, and there's little videos to show you how to use it properly. Starting at the base of the fire and working your way up, how far back you have for whatever type of fire extinguisher you have. The halon ones, they're probably the safest and work the best for children because it comes out cold, but it's not frozen like a CO2. CO2 comes out way below freezing. You can actually freeze your hand.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We used to freeze sodas. I would tell you we used to freeze beer, but that would be bad and put a bad light on our show. So I must say we've cooled down sodas by shooting them with a little CO2 fire extinguisher.
Okay.
Really cold, and it drops the temperature of it.
Interesting.
But it's still high pressure. A child couldn't use that. There's programs out there, fire safe programs, where you bring your kids so they know what not to do, what and how to do it, and they're familiar with where all the fire extinguishers. All those kind of things are pretty important if you want safety in mind, and you should. So wanted to get that in before we moved on. Medical. You're going to be bumbling around in the dark. Your wife's got the lantern in the house, and you got to go get an extension cord down at the barn and fall flat on your face, cut your knee open, blood going everywhere. Do you have your medical kit? Can you apply it? All right. If it's not serious enough that you got to run to the hospital, you still got to clean it up, doctor it up, and then for about 2 weeks, you're going to have to keep it clean, change dressings, all that stuff. Do you have that? We're talking an outage here that may be 3 weeks or more. If crap happens with some terrorist attack where we've lost a grid, that's going to be a problem. So medical is a pretty big deal
Sure.
to us, and having the knowledge to apply it. You can have a whole, $1,000 medical kit if you don't know nothing about it and how to do it or how to use all that stuff that's in there. What good is it to you? You may be able to slap a bandage on, but that life has more than just little scuffs and scrapes.
Yeah, sure.
So, do you know how to do it? More importantly, do you have all that? Do you have that to do it? Because no one's going to come save you if everybody's out of power and doing the same things you are.
Right. Yep.
You think, well, we'll just run to the hospital. Well, what if the hospital's out of power? That's possible. I mean, if you lose a whole section of the grid, let's just say a county-wide, they have backup generators, but it's not going to run the entire hospital.
Right.
And because you're in a state of emergency all over your county, people are going to get hurt 10 times as much. So the emergency room is just going to be packed. Well, I'm bleeding here, Doc. So is everybody else.
Sure.
And you're not as bleeding as much as they are. So having the ability to at least save yourself and having the knowledge to maybe put on a tourniquet if it's something really serious, or you're put it on someone else. Do you know how to make a tourniquet or have one? You can buy these little tourniquet kits that's right on your belt. You can snap it right on your belt. Yeah.
Okay.
Pull this thing out. You may save someone's life because you can bleed out pretty darn quick with a major artery cut. I'm saying 30 seconds depending on where you're cut, and you'll pass right out.
Yeah.
You need that blood.
Yeah.
Don't want to leak it all over the place. So.
True.
So having that, or having a neighbor that knows it, or whatever, go get some of that training, and because we're headed towards an emergency of some type. I can feel it in my bones.
Yeah.
We're headed to some type of emergency, and it's more than likely going to be a storm. I have no doubt about that, but it could be worse.
Right.
Possibilities are there, opportunities there. So let's get a little more prepared. People have kind of just been beat over the head with bad news and prepper information and all that kind of stuff. It just when you and I first started these shows, there wasn't hardly anything out there.
Right.
And boom, we even did a show about this, went mainstream.
Yeah, sure.
Prepper Supply, Patriot Supply, all that kind of stuff. We were at the very beginning of that. And now it's everywhere. And there's no reason you can't find that information.
Right.
If you can't go somewhere and take a class, at least you could familiarize yourself with it online because it's all there. You can download that stuff, put it on some off-grid storage, and at least have it. Here's a novel thought: a book. You all still remember books, don't you? Okay, well, one good thing about the electronics age is they brought the price of books way down.
Yes.
And thrift stores have crap loads of this stuff.
Yeah.
Medical books, really expensive medical books. I picked this one up and I was like, wow, this thing is probably a $400 book.
Yeah.
Quarter.
Wow.
Quarter. I said, I'll take it. But you got to have a place to store all that stuff. I get that. And the time to read it. And you actually have to turn the page, You can't do it just one thumb and flip through pages. You have to hold the book. And it's just laborious, I understand. But my point is if you don't have this information, where are you going to get it in a time of crisis? You're not.
Right.
So being prepared is being mentally prepared, and one of those things is being educated, educating yourself, because it's just not happened. I can remember early on in elementary school, they did little medical trainings. If someone's hurt, they tell you how to call called for the nurse or whatever, and they showed you how to just put pressure on a bandage. And this was elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they looked around at us kids and said, "These kids are wild. We better do something so they don't bleed out when they're out playing." But and it was all the way up through high school. They did away with all that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Just
silly, but
being able to repair a little small motor. That was 7th grade.
Oh, I remember
7th grade ag class.
I remember.
They tore apart a motor and put it back together.
Just a regular lawnmower.
Yeah,
like a Briggs and Stratton.
And they taught you the principles of it and how it worked. And that stuff's not there anymore.
Right.
If it is, it's rare.
Yeah.
There is a few schools that are still doing it, but you ask a kid now, they're not interested in that
I tell you,
stuff.
honestly, I think if it wasn't for some of these TV shows and YouTube channels, we would be totally in the dark. At least some young people are saying, so that's what it's like to take a motor apart.
Right.
And they show the video. I mean, thank God for that. Otherwise, it would be it would be a thing of our past. It is past when it comes to the education aspect, which is unfortunate. But
I watched a little meme or whatever you want to call it, a little clip on Facebook, and it says, "Watch this," and they were taking these kids' iPads away. Now I'm talking about 3 and 4-year-olds.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to talk about teenagers.
Oh, they probably couldn't show that on TV.
You're right.
But these kids went just totally ballistic.
Yeah.
That is a programming into them children that they can't exist without it.
Yep.
Boy, that's
absolutely.
I knew it was bad, but I had no idea it was that bad.
You've heard that people like Tim Cook and those guys with Apple and
they
won't let their kids have it.
Yeah,
they know the addictive nature of the whole mess.
Well, I think that we've heard of algorithms and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Those algorithms are set up to keep you hooked.
Yep.
And it's almost like entertainment to them that they can't do without. Well,
right.
That's an addiction.
That's an addiction.
And I may be addicted to a lot of things, but it's not my phone. I don't even like to hear that thing ring sometimes. But I'm a little older school guy. But these kids grew up with this, and that's all they know. Well, what happens when the power goes out?
Right.
Across a large area. How many 3-year-olds are going to go, "What's wrong with my iPad?"
Right.
And mom's going to go, "I've lost my babysitter."
Right. Yeah.
And now I got to deal with this irate 3-year-old. Well, you may want to start weaning them off now.
Yeah, be a good idea.
Yeah. Heaven help you when it happens. All right. Getting down to your medical bags and all that kind of stuff. It's a huge subject. Start out small. My gosh, make sure you got plenty of Band-Aids and antiseptic, and work that thing up until you can build a good bag. If you don't know how to do it, research it. Find these local nurses, man. They've dedicated their whole lives to patching people up. There's something in those people that is just golden.
Yes.
And they will help you. If they don't know, they'll know where.
They'll figure it
to
out.
go
right.
get it to you. And the stuff is not cheap by no means, but in a disaster, that's one of the things that is highly valued is medical supplies. So having a good medical kit and medical supplies is real important. You might want to buy a bottle of aspirin because you're going to have some headaches because everything out there is going to give you a headache, Especially that 3-year-old who's screaming to the top of his lungs. Earplugs may be a good thing too. So having, just like alcohol, things to clean wounds off.
Yeah.
You know the list. Do you have it?
Yeah.
Do you have it for an extended period of time? 3 days out power, 5 days, 7 days a month. Those are all different categories, folks. You might want to seriously consider it. Though we started talking about El Nino, it's still the same. If world wars or an El Nino, the only difference is there's no guns in El Nino, but it still has the same effect. Disease, famine, shortages, outages, they're all the same.
Right.
So it's all about priorities of living. But, what are your priorities? You better know what they are. I mean, you got to breathe.
Yeah.
Then there's water, food, shelter. Always those three. Have a way to maintain those three, and then you can work your way through it. If you can't maintain those three, you're pretty much toast.
Yeah, the basics.
So the shelter has to do with either staying warm or staying out of the inclement weather, whatever it is. But it's still water, food, shelter, and then you can move on to the other categories. Communication is going to be another one that you might want to seriously consider. We talk about CB radios and handhelds and all that kind of stuff. When it goes down, there's nothing worse than not knowing what's happening. You know, the CB world and the radio world. There's guys out there that do this ham radio, and they're going to be busy.
Oh yeah. You're
not going to be able to just hit the mic and go, hey, what's going on? They're going to be putting out broadcast, and it's just general information or critical information.
Yeah.
They're not going to have time to conversate of what's happening on your street.
Right.
But if you had a CB, if you had these handhelds or GMRS, there's a lot of ways to communicate outside this phone. Look into it. They're not that expensive. Everything costs money. I get that. But it's about priorities here, folks.
Yeah, and getting it now, honestly.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a lot more expensive later.
Shipping's going to be a little screwed up here. But I don't know. We're just losing a workforce, including people that drive trucks, the people that work in the warehouse.
Yeah.
They're all quitting. What's going on? People are just losing their minds, I think.
I know.
And there's a million jelly beans in that jelly bean threat jar that I described. You can't look at them all at one time. You just go, well, there's another threat jelly bean I can put in my jar that I got to worry about. Well, put them jelly beans in a priority. Do what you can do to the best of your ability. With the storms coming, it'd be real smart to push those priorities a little bit, just so you know that you can at least make it through X number of days, weeks. If you're really good, a year. Can you imagine power out for a year? Power out for just 30 days.
Yeah.
It'll look a lot different around here.
Yeah.
Your neighbor's not going to be as friendly as they used to be. But they're still your neighbors.
Right.
So you might want to get with them and say, how you stocked up? We're getting some bad storms here. Are you okay? And if they're jerks, at least you'll know.
You find out.
Yeah, right. It's just as important to know the nice people it is the mean people too. So if he's acting like a jerk, when you ask questions like that, you go, okay, that's a guy that I don't want around my house.
Yeah. Exactly.
And protect yourself against that way. Anyway, that's enough of ugliness, but protect yourself against these El Ninos and the storms of life, and make it through the best you can.
Yeah.
You got any questions, give us a holler.
Reach out to you. Well, we still got the text line, 434-248-0704, 434-248-0704, or they can go to Facebook.
Sustainable Living Made Easy with Glenn Boblets.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Join us again next week for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblets, helping you be prepared and not scared. This podcast drops every Friday anywhere you get your podcast.